what's on your mind. You talk it out. You got the time. You thought about it. Let's talk about it. No doubt about it. I got you. ValTrenda all day.
Welcome to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. Thank you all for joining us every Saturday at noon right here on the Mocha Media Network. This is your first time here, welcome. This is a safe space where we talk about everything mental health, but we go a little bit more specific and we talk melanated mental health. Our objective here is to bring more awareness to the Black and Brown community, but not just awareness, education as well. Have you started thinking about your PPP? Now, we introduced this last week, and you guys thought I was killed and said that my PPP is to apply for a PPP. So if this is your first time, the PPP here on the ValTrenda Show stands for post-pandemic plans. Now, your post-pandemic plans should include your mental health, okay? And we want to make sure that if you've been impacted at some point or another, that you have something in place to get you back on track so that you can go down your road of #happy. Now, have you gotten your dream team together? Have you? What's a dream team? Now, your dream team is the team of people in our network, in our community, that's going to supply all the needs that you need to keep you well balanced physically, mentally, and spiritually, professionally, all of that. So we focus on mind, body, and soul to be healthy. So number one, to focus on the physical body, you want to make sure you have a team of primary care physicians, dentists, optometrists, your personal trainers, people that are going to cater to the physical health of your body, right? Number two, the outer body presentation. Now, that's our dream team that's going to consist of hairstylists, barbers, waxers, massage therapists, nail techs, lash techs, all of that. Anything that it's going to take to keep us looking good on the outside, you want to get those people together for your dream team. And then your soul. Do you have a yoga instructor, a pastor, a spiritual leader, some type of communist that's going to pour into your soul? And then lastly, the mind. Do you have a therapist, a counselor, a life coach? Putting together this team will help you live a well-balanced life. Don't let this pandemic, or the panorama, as some would say, get you down, depressed, or even dumped, okay? Because you definitely got to keep up your outer beauty. So start your PPPs now. If you want, I can help you. Email me at the information below and let's get you started, okay? Now, today we continue our We Don't Talk About Bruno series. For those that have just joined the ValTrenda Show, if you have seen the movie Encanto, then this sounds really familiar to you, right? In the movie Encanto, Bruno is the son of the matriarch. And he's the son of the matriarch of the family who has a very, very special gift. But because of the truth that he has shown and he has told the family, they didn't want to receive it. He was banned from the family. Now, how many of you can relate to that? Bruno represents everything in the Black and Brown community that we don't talk about, because he brought some truth out and exposed the family and told some things about what's going to happen in the future about this family, he was banned, right? Does that sound familiar to you? So these things that we don't talk about, suicide, molestation, rape, financial literacy, mental health, homosexuality, so much more. We're going to be talking about them on the ValTrenda Show. So go and get your bottle of water, because water is life, and come right back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health.
All right, Mocha Marbles, we're moving to Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So please be sure to check us out. Bring family and friends. Get you a little, what in the morning, Corey?
We're going to add a little flavor to your morning blend, but just now.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. If you're just now joining us, we're discussing a very important topic, molestation. Molestation can also be known as child abuse, pedophilia, or even sexual assault. It happens to be one of the most under-noticed and under-talked about subjects in the Black and Brown community. Now, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Children's Bureau report from 2010 found that 9.2% of victimized children were sexually assaulted. Let me give you some stats here so that you can really see what we're really dealing with in our communities. 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys is a victim of child sexual abuse. Self-report studies show that 20% of adult females and 5 to 10% of adult males recall a childhood memory of sexual assault or even some type of sexual abuse incident. Now, you may wonder, how does this affect the child in the long run? Well, a child who has been the victim of prolonged sexual abuse usually develops some type of low self-esteem or a feeling of unworthlessness and even abnormal or a distorted view of sex. The child may become withdrawn and mistrustful of adults and can even become suicidal. Now that goes back to our topic that we talked about last week. Again, we need to talk about Bruno, okay? Today, we talk about Bruno, and in this case, molestation. We talk about that with salon owner and lash tech, Ms. Kedra Kennedy. We also talk with media producer, Dwayne D.T. Terry. And they're going to talk to us, both of them, about their experiences with molestation. Watch this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. I am here with 2 very special guests today. I'm here with DT, also known as, Dwayne Terry, also known as DT. And I am also here with Kedra, the lash specialist. So today we're going to continue our series with We Don't Talk About Bruno, molestation. Today, we're talking about molestation. Now, you might be surprised because you see a Black man on here talking about molestation. Now, DT is very dear to me. He has tons of experience in radio and TV and all that stuff. Outside of that, he's just one of my good friends. But DT, you as a child did go through your own personal connection or history or interaction with molestation. Is that right?
True. Facts.
So tell me about how did that affect you as a man, in the Black and brown community? You're African American man and you were molested as a child?
I was by babysitters, two female babysitters. Well, one, but two. One, there was action. Two, there was just a lot of exposure. But I was about 8 years old. My mother, I believe she was bowling, and she had the young ladies across the street from us. Had like three sisters and a brother. And one of the sisters was babysitting us, was me and my two sisters. And yeah, we were playing. She was babysitting us one day, and she told us to play a game. I guess to keep us quiet or keep us busy, we thought. And she told us like play hide go seek something. She told my two sisters, "You guys go hide somewhere upstairs," and then told me to wait. I'm gonna, you're gonna count and then go find your sisters. I'm like, okay, great. So once the sisters went upstairs, she told me to wait before you go. I need you to do something for me. Come over here, stand here, take your pants down, and take your underwear down, and then here, get on top of me. And then she took her hands and put them on my hip and said, "You move your hips like this." And I followed instructions. I didn't know any better. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know it was right or wrong. It was just a new experience for me. And she's a babysitter in charge of, my life, or my sister's life, and I followed suit. And so, I guess maybe 3 weeks later, we're being babysitted again by one of the other sisters, but it's across the street at their house. And she told me one morning, this other sister told me to come in the room and go to the bottom of the bed. And she told me to get under the covers and crawl up to the top where she was. And so I get under the covers and I start making my way up to the top of the bed. I think it's another game or something. And it was kind of a thin blanket she was under, and it was a bedroom window right next to the bed. So there was a lot of light coming in. And I remember as I got closer to the light, I would see her exposed under the bed. She was like legs open, and I kind of coming up, and she kind of just stopped me there. And I'm looking like, I'm laughing now because I think about what I felt when I seen it. I just thought like, ugh. Right? It was, it was a lot of hair. I had never knew that women had hair down there. Never thought about that. And so she kind of did the same thing, and then told me to stop here, lay on top of her, and and I didn't really know at the time anything. I didn't think of it. I didn't go tell anybody. I didn't think it was anything wrong with it. And I guess I kind of like blacked it out for a long time until I got to I was an adult, and I'd say maybe 11, 12 years ago, I heard I was engineering this podcast, and the guest on the podcast was a NFL player. He played for the NFL. He played in the NFL, the Buffalo Bills. And he was on this podcast, and this guy had hired me to come in and produce and engineer his podcast. So I'm just sitting there listening to the story, and the guy starts to talk about how he was molested when he was young, and how it affected him in a way that he believed that because of him being treated that way, he believed it had an effect on how he was not able to, he was not able to grow real relationships with women. For him, being exposed to a sexual act and sex at such an early age turned something on in his brain. And for him, sex was more important than being in a healthy relationship. And I just, I think my eyes watered, because I felt like, wow, that's me. I didn't know the relationship part played a role until he said something. Then I thought back on my relationships with my with my girlfriends, and I remember how sex was always an issue with the relationship, whether there was no sex, or There was too much sex, or that we were sexually incompatible. All these things were playing a huge part in my decision on if I and when I and how I would, be in a relationship. And so looking back on all that, I think being turned on at such an early age put that to the front of my brain, and it became one of the things that was necessary for me. I thought that in order to be in a healthy relationship, sexual compatibility had to be, something that worked early in a
Wow.
relationship.
Yeah, that's pretty deep, especially for, a man to be able to come out and really be open about that story. Now, Kedra, I'm going to ask you, I want you to tell me, did in his story, did you find any type of relation to your personal story? Is there anything that, happened with DT and his experience when it first happened to your experience when it first happened?
My first experience was more so a threat and manipulation. So I struggle with that as I get older, of being manipulated by men and being forgetful, far as with sex too, not really fully into it. At one, I guess it was like a roller coaster, because 1 minute I'd be into it, 1 minute I won't be into it.
So do you think that on a mental level, how do you think it differs between men being molested as a child and women being molested as a child when it comes down to their adult relationships with sex now? Do you think it's different from like how men relate to sex as an adult and women relate to sex as an adult?
Yes, it's more so like the women will want more of attention and seek certain things from men, versus I don't really know how it is with like a man. But, well, you just said it, but I didn't know before how it was with a man being molested from a female versus, a woman.
So do you think that, and DT, I want to ask you the same question, but Kedra, do you think that, maybe your mind is a little bit more open to the fact that, wow, like did DT's story shock you in any way?
No, only because I kind of hear about the man being molested from a woman versus another man.
Okay.
But in my mind, when a man say that he's being molested, I always think of like from another man.
Oh, okay. All right. So DT, your relationships, do you think that they are different from a man being molested at a young age and a woman being molested at a young age? Are there differences in their adult relationships with sex?
Well, let me say this, because this is a great conversation, and right, Kedra mentioned it. Yeah, my situation was what a woman molested me as a man, as a boy, and I can't imagine what it might be due to a young man who has been molested by men, because I've understand it happened to a male figure in my family by other males on his father's side of his family, and we both are different in such a way that I think for him it affects. See, I think when it's a man, a woman, when it's a woman on a man, the man isn't always overpowered. Where maybe I could be wrong, in a situation where it's a man molesting a young woman, he may be overpowering her, and can hold her down, or something like that. I don't know. Mine was just follow instructions. I kind of felt like I wasn't being forced, physically forced. It was just my being naive about what was going on, that I was manipulated. And so in that scenario, yes, as I explained in my relationship, if you don't really understand what happened to you, it can haunt you for a while, and you may not even know it's haunting you. You may be just following your things. If it was a man, I think the haunting would be a different haunting, right? You might be fearful of other people, other men, because of that traumatic situation that happened. And so as a man and an adult who was molested by a man, I believe that haunting is more traumatic because it stripped them of their power, and it may have proved to that man, that may have sent a message to that young man that he is not as strong as he's been told a man should be because another man took his strength.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point. Let me go to a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk with more Kedra and DT on this particular subject. I know that it's a very heavy one, but don't you think it's definitely one that we really need to talk about in this community? So we'll be right back with more of the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health.
Hello, everybody. I'm Liz Everett.
And I'm Stephanie J.
Don't forget to watch The Fab Lab at 11 a.m. on Saturdays. We are all about fashion and the art of beauty, among other things in our laboratory.
We are right before the ValTrenda Show on the Mocha Media Network.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. And so today we're talking with DT and Kedra about molestation. We are continuing our conversation on We Don't Talk About Bruno series. And Bruno represents, this is your first time watching the show, Bruno represents everything in the Black and brown community that we don't like to talk about. We don't like to talk about molestation. We don't like to talk about that uncle or that mom's boyfriend or husband or the neighbor across the street. In this case, we don't like to talk about those things in the Black and brown community. But here on the ValTrenda Show, we're going to talk about it because there's somebody else out there who may be dealing with this, and they need to know the effects that it will have on your mental health. So, Kedra, I'm really curious to know, how did your experience as a child eventually affect your mental health?
For one, the memory loss. I have really bad memory loss, which I struggle with that a lot. So that's how it affected me. Far as not really trusting people, manipulation. I feel like so many people try to manipulate me, and I detour. I back out. I don't really build relationships good. I do, but I point out like every negative thing. And I feel like that probably plays a major part. So I have so many different points that I have to work on. And I feel like that triggered back to me being molested as a child.
Right. And it could, especially when it goes down to the memory loss, because we have understood in my studies that people who experience trauma do have experience with memory loss, because you spend so many years trying to forget about the trauma. In that moment when it happens, you're so, traumatized. I just want to push it out of my mind. I just want to forget about it. I just want to act like it never happened. That eventually, of years and years and years of doing that, your brain now starts storing things. It starts saying, okay, well, we don't need that information. We don't need that information. And did that happen to you? When you were little, did you say, I don't want to think about that, let me try to forget about it? Did you have that experience?
Yes. I did try to forget about it, but I really, I remember a lot, but a lot, of course, memory loss. I remember the exact time that it happened, like when did it happen, but it definitely was more so forgetful on some things. And it was going on for so long, like for 3-4 years.
How old were you?
8.
You were 8. So from 8 to what, like 12? You dealt with that?
I was really probably like 7, honestly, from 7 to like 10.
Wow.
And how it happened, where the manipulation came in was, and it was a trust thing too. So how my story was, my mom met this guy. She hadn't known him too long, and she married him really fast. The whole family talked about how she married him so fast. And soon as he married her, he moved her. We moved out in the country, and he manipulated her to go to work at night. So she started working at night. And the first night that she went to work, he came in the room and he said something. I don't remember what he said, of course. And then that's when it happened. He stuck it in and made me use the mouth game. And he locked the door, of course. And then he just threatened, like, if I was to tell anybody, he was going to kill my family, kill me. And that's when he started beating on my mom. So he was.
So you think that he used, and I could see where the manipulation came in, and he used your love and your trust for your mom and your family, and you had to rely on that to keep them alive. Yes.
He put a gun to her head in front of us. He beat on her all the time. So I believed him. And then after like the 3rd, 4th year, he went to prison, actually, for murder.
Wow.
If I would have said something, he probably would have killed us for real.
Wow. So I could see how that would haunt you, to this day, mentally going through all of that. I know the backstory, but I'm going to ask you for the audience's sake. Have you gone through counseling? Yes.
I have.
So have you, since then, do you think your mental health obviously was affected, and you still kind of struggle with trust and dealing with people and relationships? Do you think that since counseling, it's gotten better for you?
It has, and I talk about it more. I feel like me talking about it more, because so many people go through it, but a lot of people are quiet about it. And I feel like me talking to people more is a part of the therapy, and me actually watching Law and Order and understanding the mind of a person who molests.
Who's the molester? So the perpetrator.
Yes. So normally it's like a cycle. And maybe like a year ago, I wrote him on JPay and asked him, like, why did he do it? And he was molested as a child as well. And he wrote really bad. So, which I kind of knew that from watching Law and Order. Because normally when you have been molested, you either turn out gay, or you become a molester, or you just have to fight so many demons of trying not to be what happened to you. And I don't know if you experienced that before. I mean, from a male and a female.
I tell you, the demon you just mentioned, I do fight those demons, in the sense that I never want to repeat what happened to me on someone else. I've chosen to break the cycle, and as my sisters had kids, and more, not basically what happened to me, but knowing what happened to my cousin, and knowing how that can happen. He's gay now, and he's been gay for a very long time, since we were young, which I kind of believe. And we had one conversation, he kind of admitted that it was one of his uncles that did it. And I kind of, in my own naive mind, thought that was the reason he was gay. In my way of thinking at the time, and I'm still out on the fence on whether I believe what I was thinking, or whether I don't know the truth. But I thought that if it happened to him and it turned that switch on to him, then he got curious. And then as he grew up, he started doing it to others, who would allow him to. And when I found out, when it was confirmed that he was gay, in my head, I thought it's because he was molested as a kid that led him down that path. And so I had to always watch him around my nephews, trying to make sure that none of my nephews were in harm's way, because my cousin, could repeat that process, and I think for me, personally, being molested by a woman, I don't think I ever found. You would think that maybe I find older women more attractive because of what happened to me, but not really the case. But the fact is, it does play a part in, as I grew up as I got into my adult years, I was very conscious of how much younger a woman was that I would date, right? Because in my mind, I don't want to date someone so much younger that I feel like that babysitter who took advantage of me. And so I always had this little age bracket of where, if I'm dating, of course, I would never go under 18. Once I became an adult and I understood the laws, I stuck to it. It haunted me because of what happened to me, made me stay on track to make sure I would never mess with anyone too much younger than me. I was always looking for someone right around my age, maybe, and usually a little bit younger than me, but not much older than me for some strange reason. But that demon you speak of, I too was kind of feeling like I am constantly being reminded in the beginning stages of my relationships on how to maneuver into a relationship and then how to maneuver once I'm in a relationship. But I can, I thank God that I've never been tempted to do to someone what happened to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that part is what, I'm happy about on both of your parts, for both of you to be strong and courageous, to be able to come and talk about this, and to be able to break that cycle. DT, for you protecting your nephews so it didn't happen to them. And then Kedra, for you fighting through so many mental struggles to become this successful businesswoman that you are today. So I'm very proud of the both of you. Thank you all for being able to come on the show. And our hope is that, we don't only bring awareness to the Black and Brown community that these things happen, but we're bringing education for people to learn how to avoid it, to how to, get help. So thank you all for being that voice and speak on behalf of those that have been molested for this show's purpose, to come out and bring that out to our community. So I am very grateful for the both of you. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be back with more of the ValTrenda Show, continuing our series of We Don't Talk About Bruno. That Bruno is something else, ain't he? Happy Black History Month. First of all, I celebrate you all for making your own history. But this week, I want to focus and shine the brightest light on the most amazing First Lady of the United States of America to ever walk this green earth. She has so many accolades, I could run out of time on this show. Grace, style, elegance, and perseverance. Not to mention, the woman graduated from 2 Ivy League schools. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Michelle Obama. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. Now let's get back to these PPPs, honey. So, all right, I have to be honest with you guys. I love self-care. I really do. And I always pride myself on how much self-care I really give myself. Sometimes I think I'm like doing a little bit more, but I think it's okay. Last year, I took my self-care light and I shined it on my mental and emotional health. I focused all year on making sure I had the right people around me, that mentally I could control my thought processes. When bad thoughts came in, I knew what to do with them. I knew how to get rid of them. I knew how to stay focused on the task at hand and emotionally heal from hurts and pains and letdowns, abandonments, and all of that. But because I focused so heavily on that, some of my other systematic views and all of that kind of stuff, a lot of my other health got, they kind of like dwindled down. And one of them was my physical health. I was like, I take care of myself. And of course I look good, child. But I didn't feel as healthy. I didn't feel physically as fit as I wanted to be. It took me a little bit longer to get out of the bed or things like that. So this year, I put myself on a journey for all year. I'm going to focus just like I did for my mental and emotional. I'm going to add that now. So I'm not abandoning my mental or emotional health. I'm just now going to add in my physical health. And I want you to be a part of my journey. Now, listen, you're going to see some clips of me getting my physical right back where it needs to be. I'm riding bicycles. I'm doing ellipticals. I'm lifting weights. I'm doing anything I can to get myself together. And I want you to be a part of that journey. So I want you to send me videos of your journey. Send me videos and pictures so we can do this together. We're still being careful and safe, so I can't be around you all as much as I would really like to, but it doesn't mean that we can't still share. So for my self-care, watch me go on this health journey. And don't laugh.
I took a lot of time and I focused on my mental health. I focused on my emotional health. Now it's time for me to focus on my physical health. Just like my shirt says, I'm going to cuss. I ain't gonna quit though, but I'm gonna cuss. Oh yeah, I'm gonna cuss. I have to do this for me. I have to do this for me. In this very moment is when I prayed. I prayed very hard for me to get through this workout. But I prayed more that God would just eliminate my fat himself. Like, you all powerful, man. Come on. Just do it for me.
All right. Welcome back to the ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. And unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. But it's a happy moment. It's actually a hashtag happy moment. What makes you happy? Comment right now. What makes you happy? Is it your dogs? Is it your children? Is it your job? Is it your career? Like you own your own business? Like what is it that makes you hashtag happy? Is it your hair? Is it your new wig you got this week? Because sometimes wig does be bringing you life. And so I get it. That is totally a hashtag moment. But for me, my hashtag moment is I am so happy to be back on air. I took a much needed break. We take breaks during the holidays, spend time with our family and loved ones, but I got a chance to really relax and rewrite my goals for the year and things like that. But I'm so happy to be back on air. One of those reasons is because of the feedback you guys give me. I received so much feedback after last week's show, especially about this particular series. We don't talk about Bruno, no, but on the ValTrenda Show, it's a yes. It's a yes. We talk about it on the ValTrenda Show. So listen, we are enjoying our new time, Saturdays at noon. Thank you Thank you for continuing to watch. You stayed the entire show. Maybe you left and came back, but that's okay. You're still here. So thank you. I also want to thank everybody here at the ValTrenda Show, everybody that works behind scene, everybody that works during the week, all of that. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to put it in your calendars. Put it in your calendars that we will be here Saturday at noon. The ValTrenda Show, your headquarters for melanated mental health. Until next time, give yourself grace. Don't let anything or anyone steal your happiness. And as always, show love.